What's up, guys? My name is Victor from Sustainable Six Pack, and today I want to talk about what I believe to be the best macro split for cutting, for shedding body fat. This is a question I got the other day on Instagram. Somebody was wondering if he was counting his macros or aligning his macros correctly to optimize his goal, which is fat loss. And this is something that I see a lot of like hard numbers getting thrown around as if like one approach or one way of doing the pie graph is optimal for everybody, and this is nonsense. This is complete bullshit, and it's going to really depend a lot upon you. And quickly, the best advice I would have for you is to experiment, to try out different things for like maybe a few weeks at a time, and to see. Okay, there are some people who have more of like what's called an ectomorphic body type, which means they're like very naturally extremely skinny, and those kind of people have trouble getting bigger and putting on mass. People who are like 40 years old don't work out and eat fast food every day and yet have like a six-pack. That's an ectomorph, and that they need a lot of carbohydrates. Conversely, an endomorph is like the polar opposite of that. It's another body type characterization that describes people who are really just big bones, stocky, tend to gain body fat very easily, and those kind of people tend to do well with a much lower carbohydrate split. And if these two groups were to like intertwine, they would screw each other up. If the ectomorphs, the skinny people, ate like a low carb diet, they're gonna feel fucking miserable. And they probably won't even see any results either. Their energy is gonna be horrible. They're gonna hate life. And if you put like again an endomorph on that type of split, they're gonna gain weight faster than they can fucking blink. It's gonna be awful for them. So I find, generally speaking, as you get down to like, before you get really lean, almost anybody can get away with basically doing like a third of each. What I tell people, generally, if I had to guess, most people would do very good on a 35% carbohydrate, 30% carbohydrates rather, 35% fat and 35% protein. That makes sure that they have enough protein and then a moderate amount of carbs and fat. And it also allows, some people are a little bit more touchy with carbs, especially if they carried a lot of weight for a lot of their life. Their blood sugar and their like insulin response to carbohydrates can be a little bit fucked, like out of whack a little bit, and they can tend to store them as fat more easily than other people. But again, the best thing to do, and this is what I really preach to people, the way to really make this a long-term thing, to make it so you're one who not only reaches, but again, sustains a six-pack year-round, is to become really in tune with your body. That's incredibly important, to just honor your body and to stop looking all the time outside of yourself for answers, because your body is an amazing communicator and will give you very clear cut signals whether something is working or something is bad. And you can tell with a few different factors. You can tell by how you feel mentally. If you're eating like the wrong kind of diet, you'll notice that you feel kind of mentally foggy and just not sharp, not your sharp self. You can also feel by your energy, if you feel kind of like lethargic and tired, or just like good and peppy. And also how you look. How's your body, how do you look? Do you look healthy? Does your skin look good? Do you feel like, how's your complexion? How's your natural like skin's radiance? And the last one, and this is probably the most measurable, more where you can be the most objective with, is how your performance in the gym. If you're eating out of alignment with what's best for you, you're gonna feel it in your workouts. You're gonna become weaker, less. Your performance, or whatever your improvements you're trying to make in the gym, it's gonna be a struggle. You're gonna perhaps regress, and then of course you need to change something. But don't get too hung up. Some people are wacky with the macros, and again, it can, for a lot of people, become more important as you want to go from like 8% to like 6 or 5% body fat. That's when like when you're becoming getting ready for a show, you want to do everything perfectly, obviously, if you're competing against other people. But this is more for people who want to get around, guys who want to get like 7% body fat, which is very lean, very ripped, looking fucking badass, looking good, and maintain it. And the maintain it part, I believe, is dependent upon not being too rigid with everything. If you make it too much of a job, like you gotta count your macros, you gotta decide what's the best time to eat, you gotta hit your cardio, if you make it like all these like thing, you impose all these rules upon yourself, it's going to eventually tire you out. It might be exciting for a while in the beginning. You're seeing results and everything's, you're kind of excited about tracking your calories and counting your macros and doing your cardio. But eventually, trust me, unless you're like a real fitness nut, and I say that in a good way, I'm a fitness nut, but unless you're like that, you're going to get sick of it. And you're going to associate being lean and being fit with all this shit you have to fucking do. And you're going to say, fuck this. And you're going to like drop way off the deep end when it doesn't have to be that way. The idea, in my opinion, is to as best you can, fulfill the essential and fundamental requirements of maintaining a lean body and do it in a way, in a unique individual way that's germane to you and your lifestyle. Okay, and that's what I preach about here in the sustainable six-pack method. It helps you find what is best for you, and then once you find what is in alignment for you, your macro split, your calorie ranges, your time of day you eat, when you work on, how often to work out. Once you know that, it becomes effortless. It becomes a habit you don't have to think about, and then you get to go back and enjoy life. In the beginning, to get to a six-pack, you do have to do some work. You do have to learn. You have to go through this experimentation phase and follow directions that might be a bit foreign to you initially. But eventually, if you do it correctly, it will become natural to you. As natural as brushing your teeth, okay? And that's where you get to sustain the six-pack. That's where your health and fitness will only grow and become better and better over time. You'll look better and better, and you'll try. It'll get easier and easier. That's how it should be, man, okay? So if you got something out of this, I'd appreciate it. If you like the video, if you want to hear more tips about how to get and stay really lean while still enjoying life, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'll hook you up. And if you have any friends that might benefit from this, feel free to share it. That helps the video rank, and that means it'll reach more people. And I believe my message is positive and gonna help inform people about the reality of fitness and how to develop and have a lean body. It's not as hard as the masses tend to believe, okay? Anyone can do it. I don't care if you're 200 pounds overweight, anybody can do this, okay? And just know that I believe in you. Because I've been a trainer for over 10 years. I've seen so many people who you would never expect make radical transformations. One of the people that comes to mind is my brother-in-law. I trained him, I took him on as a free client, and I never do this because people tend to like squander that opportunity and not really push themselves, but he really busted his ass. And I trained him for about a year, and he went from 345 pounds. Now he's walking around like the low 200s, and he's like a really tall guy, 6'6", and he's fucking looking good. And he was someone who had a food addiction, someone who was like grossly overweight. He was obese. He was like almost 400 pounds for a lot of his life, and someone who didn't have a memory of ever not being overweight. And I helped him get to where he doesn't even know himself anymore. So I've seen it. That's just one example. So if you're watching this and you question whether you can do this or not, don't. I believe in you. I will help you. If you watch my videos, you will get there. I fucking promise you, okay? So with that, I will close, guys. Don't stress about the macros, man. Have fun. Peace.